What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Saturday Night Fever live stream. I appreciate you all being here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Things have been kind of interesting around here the past couple of days, and thus the title. Had some major tank issues, but we got through it. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, not just specifically what I did, but kind of how to approach when things go wrong and brainstorm and work through possibilities and how to get things taken care of, and some of the maybe things to have on hand just in case that are a huge help. Also got a couple of things in the mail today that I want to show you all, and we'll talk a little bit about. I've got an announcement some of you are already aware of if you listened to the previous stream in regards to a special segment that we're going to be doing once a month, and just generally taking I guess Q&A from you all, because the chat is a wonderful resource for answers as well as questions. But if you do have a question or comment, please put at Fishroom Fever. That will highlight it for me and make it stand out so that I don't overlook it, because sometimes the chat tends to take off and it can be hard to filter through just the back and forth, which is wonderful to actually find any questions or comments directed at Ed or myself. That being said, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, and Mike is here. Hi, Mike. If you guys give me your stickers, I will pop them up when you say hi to me.
Absolutely. Now, I will ask, and I know I did this last week, let me know how my volume compares to Ed. I went and watched a little bit of the previous stream's replay, and I noticed my volume was a lot lower, which could make it difficult for somebody to just kind of set it and forget it, because they'd either turn me up and then Ed would be really loud, or they'd have their volume standard on Ed and then I would be really low. The Lion's Den says, Fishroom Fever, your beard is as fabulous as always. Many, many thanks to you. I do appreciate that. It's been countless hours working on that. The secret is actually a duckweed wrap. So you take that duckweed, you get it in there really good, and you let that soak for about an hour, and then you can pull that off, rinse it out, comb it out, and it gives you this glorious sheen. No, I'm only kidding. I do appreciate that, Lion's Den. I am curious if anybody had any good ideas. Let me go back up so I can read the question. It was from Carol Cox. Says, I wish I could share pics. My quarter-acre in-ground aquarium just got done. It's really a pond, but humor me, stocking ideas for West Virginia. So if you're just coming in and maybe you didn't see that popped up before the stream started, I'd love to hear what some of you all have for ideas. Ed and I kind of thought a little bit on it. I didn't really have a great suggestion, but Ed was talking about, you could tell him what your idea was possibly for it.
Well, okay. I mean, if you don't want to go with traditional, with like goldfish or koi, maybe, do like a real pretty sunfish or a panfish. There's some beautiful, native fish that'll be able to go year round out there. And you can find some crazy bright reds and blues in them. Pretty cool. But that was just James and I were just kind of bouncing things off each other.
Absolutely. But I think that's amazing. That's super, super cool. And I couldn't imagine having that much space. Tom said, sounds good. I appreciate that. So Zed says, your volume's okay. Lower than Ed, though, by a little. So let's play with that. That's the whole purpose of these things. Let's see if I'm turning this the right way, and I'll know in a second if I got louder or lower. I'll keep an eye out. QC Aquaholics says, Fisher Fever and Ed, have you gentlemen got your tickets for the Carolina Aquatic Expo? Ed?
We were just talking about that. We didn't realize next week is Easter. So now we kind of have to reevaluate and talk to our families to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Because James and I, we were going to go 100%. But, James and I kind of just go out and do things and never talk to anybody, and we just do it. But this is actually a holiday weekend. So we've got to make sure that our families aren't going to be mad at us.
Absolutely. I would very much like to go. But Ed and I are going to discuss that a little more throughout the week, and we'll know for sure by the Thursday streams. Of course, Aquaholics Anonymous on my channel and the Nocturnal Feeding Show on Ed's channel. If you're new hanging around and don't know about those, be sure to check us out Thursday nights after KG Tropicals. Let's see. Sean, good to see you saying hey to James and Ed. Appreciate you being here, Sean. Hope you're having a wonderful day. People saying leave it alone. All right. So if it's not too much of a difference, I will leave it alone. Or maybe we'll just move the mic a little bit closer. See how that works. Hopefully I'm not blowing you all's ears out. On to the bad news. This is bad. That's the title. Yesterday, I walked into this room, the office, this fish room, and I noticed the floor was completely soaked from the doorway all the way over to where I'm sitting at. So immediately I'm like, well, what's wrong? And those of us that are familiar with tanks, you get used to the water sounds and what words are hard. What a tank should sound like when it's running at the correct water level and all the pumps and things are going as they should. Immediately realized the piranha tank, the hang-on back that I have on it, was making a lot of noise, and the water level was down by about that much. So I played around. I looked, of course, on the sides, didn't see any cracks, didn't see anything obvious. I didn't see a malfunction with the hang-on back. So those are kind of the first things I look for. So from there, it was kind of trying to find where it was leaking and at least get something down there to be able to catch it. And I've shown them before at the Dollar Tree. You can get a litter pan, good sized litter pan, about that deep for $1. I try and have a couple of those on hand for several reasons. One is, incidents like that, if they do happen, they're also great for plants. If you've got to pull some plants out, maybe you're unbagging some plants, maybe you're pulling plants out of a tank, moving things around. There's just a great tray that you're not going to get your whole work area wet, and you can play around in there. So I highly recommend you grab a couple of those next time you're at the dollar store. They've got a lot of useful purposes. It was a fairly steady drip, but not pouring. So I was very hopeful and suspected that it was not a crack. And thank goodness it was not. So that's the good news. It was not a crack. But again, this is on the piranha tank. So aside from the fact that you've got a box full of 125 gallons of water, you've got to move fish, find places for them. You end up having to catch, a couple dozen piranha. So that was fun in and of itself. So what I did was I assessed the situation. I looked to try and find the leak. I couldn't find the leak, so I assumed that it was somewhere under the substrate, either a crack or an issue with the silicone. From there, my plan was, what do I do with these fish? And this kind of touches back to what we had spoken on previously, our subject of the upside of having multiple aquariums or a fish room. So I was able to kind of look at some options. I've got, that one tin that's still got salt in it that I could have pulled that stuff to another tank, washed it, put them in there. But that would have been a lot of work just to have to move all that stuff again. I would have had to move the salt stuff into the other tank when I set it up. Just trying to get to that tank, given that one is still in Mrs. Fever's nerd room, as she calls it, with all her books and Harry Potter stuff and all that wonderful stuff. Her kind of her version of a fish room. Yes, her Zen room. It gives her some place to maybe get away from the fish tanks and all that, and just kind of have an office of her own, if you will. Like I have this space and this is my area, so to speak. So I would have had to, work around her and getting that done. And most of you know, she's had the issues with the blown plantar fascia and the torn Achilles tendon. So didn't want to have to displace her. I looked at possibly going and getting even a large plastic tote, like the ponds, kind of like what you've got outside, Ed, from the hardware store. But what I finally decided was I've got that 100-gallon, it's an older 5-foot tank. And I moved the fish out of it, caught them, found them different tanks to go to because it was a little bit easier to place them with other fish short term than going, oh, well, let's put a piranha in this tank. We know what's going to happen if we do that. So they don't have as much room, which the 125 isn't big enough. That's the 220 I'm working on. And we'll touch on that a little bit more here in a minute. But they seem happy. They're very, very inquisitive. I moved them into this 100-gallon, and it's right next to my chair in the living room. It's on the bottom of a rack. the last video that I put out, I showed that setup. It's the bottom tank, the 100 that's under the 90 gallon. But they're very, very curious as to the new environment, and they keep all huddling up in the front corner right next to my chair, just eyeballing me. So it's been really fun to be able to watch them in that room. I'm used to their behavior in this tank and the way I had it set up, but it's been really, really fun having them right there next to me and being able to interact with them even a little bit more. I know a lot of people say they're horrible fish, they're boring fish, but I really do enjoy them, and I enjoy their behaviors and some of their tendencies that they tend to exhibit. Sean says, James, sorry to hear that, brother. That's the reason I moved all my tanks to my garage. I can't afford any water damage on the floor or wall. Hope it's not that bad and fish are okay. So yes, the fish are fine. The floor is fine. So when I redid the floors, I took all the carpet out because I'm no LRB. I can't do fish rooms and carpet. It just doesn't work for me. And we put down some like the snap together wood floor when we redid it. Unfortunately, that was before I really got big into fish tanks again for the most recent time, I guess the best way to put that. But fish are fine. They're moved over. I got the water drained out of the 125, and then I started moving gravel, and I've got right at 4 5-gallon buckets worth of gravel out of there. Fortunately, there are no cracks. It's an older tank. I've had it for over 12 years personally. The manufacturer sticker on there I found says it was made in 01. So it's over 20 years old. And that happens. And it was in storage for a time as well. So that gives silicone a chance to get cold and expand and control, all that wonderful stuff. But one thing that really, really came in handy, and I know, Ed, we've mentioned this before, and I actually fell in love with having one of these for fish-specific purposes after being at your place. Get you a cheap shop vac. Go down to a Harbor Freight or someplace that you can get a quality but inexpensive shop vac. That thing came in handy like I couldn't even tell you. And it also comes in handy for just general resealing of tanks and cleaning up water out of the floor.
Everything.
Everything.
They're amazing.
That's probably the first thought when I say that thing was so handy. People go, oh, yeah, the water out of the floor. The handiest thing that I've found with that is being able to get the substrate and the last of the water out of a tank. You want to make sure that you don't have the air filter in there when you do it. But I literally, when it came down to the end of it, I just sucked out the last of the water in the gravel once I couldn't siphon anymore. And no problems. You're not trying to scoop out little bits of water at a time and all the things that, we're accustomed to if you've ever had to drain a large tank and can't quite get all the water out of it. Typically, I'll use the tilt method where I'll pick one end of it up and put a 2x4 or a piece of wood underneath it so it sits at an angle. That way you can get as much water as possible to one end. But I highly recommend having one of those on hand. Works out amazingly well. Before I get too much further along, I do want to say, Fantastic Freaks, what is going on, buddy? I was thinking about you yesterday. I was on a website. It's actually where I get my piranha from. And I was looking at their oddballs and their puffers and all the different puffers they had. And I was like, Fantastic Freaks doesn't need to see this place because they've got a bunch of really neat puffers. And a lot of stuff you already had, of course. But thank you for the $10 super chat. Fantastic Freaks says, hi, James. Ed, missed you guys Thursday. Getting ready to finally go to my first fish swap in over a year. Thank God normality is slowly returning. I also just noticed the Exodons are behind you now. Yes. So they are back here. Let's go. Well, I don't know. Tell you what. You all let me know. Pellets or flake? I'll keep an eye out in the chat. I'll scroll down and look for that. And we'll feed them some food there. I have the nice pellets or the extreme community crave here. I also have the krill flake over here. I have monster pellet too, but I don't think that we want to throw those in there. It's a little big for them. But very much appreciate that. Fantastic. I'm glad you're able to get to go to a fish swap. That is awesome. And absolutely thank goodness that normality is slowly returning.
Now,
where's the chat, buddy?
Where's the fish swap that he's going to?
I'll have to take a look. Paul Steris is having some extra 5-gallon buckets and some larger totes are invaluable in this hobby. Paul, 100% agree. That was exactly it. When it came to the substrate, it was like, okay, I had one of my boys run out and get one of the stacks of buckets so that I could get substrate into there and was able to just kind of roll with it. Paul Ster, I'll say, I'm glad you caught it before it turned into a disaster. Yes, it definitely can turn into a disaster. And thank goodness bit. It wasn't a full blowout. None of the panels popped or anything. Nothing shattered. So thank goodness for that. Tony Concilier says, I moved some AF from a 30-gallon to a 55, and now I want, I don't know where the rest of that is. Now I want everything. I want. All right. I can look through here. Make sure I did not miss anything. It does not look like I did. So that was kind of what I was dealing with. And it was funny because I did a little shorts video. And 2 people have seen it. It's got 3 views. One of those was me just going to check and see if it was even public. But for some reason, YouTube, they said, we're not showing this to anybody. So I thought that was kind of funny because people were like, oh, no, what happened? And I'm like, well, if YouTube had shown people the short, or even my subscribers, they would know about it. But for some reason, it's like, oh, you get 2 views on this. We're not even going to show it to your subscribers or even your members. So that was kind of interesting to me. Gotta love the way that works sometimes. Fantastic says it's in Des Moines. Found out about it just on Wednesday, actually. Very, very cool. All right, so
Des Moines is like halfway through Iowa. So it wouldn't be driving all the way to Council Bluffs. Of course, if I got that far, I'd have to. Oh, that's 12.5-hour drive still for us.
So that's a mix of both. On the flake and the pellet. Move some of these foods around. There's no lid right here, in case you're wondering why I'm like, well, you can't really see through the mic. I'm going to have to work on that. Now that I've moved my mic forward, you can't see the extreme foods. We'll get that fixed. So we're going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to throw some krill flake in there. Smells tasty. That'll get them popping the surface for you. Let's see. Let's do this. Now I've gone out of focus. We're going to hide Ed for a minute. So the layout. Oh, there we go. And let's throw some pellet in there. They really do go nuts when the food hits the water. I love these guys. Absolutely love them. Working on getting a couple more. I'd like to get 4 more in there. There are currently 8. I'd like to have a dozen in there. And that was the extreme nice pellet. Awesome, awesome stuff. Highly recommended. We'll put those back over there. And we will close this because the last thing that I want is an Exodon flying out of the tank live, right? So let's bring Ed back. There we go. Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back.
Paul mentioned that I had my vac underneath the table. I actually did earlier today. I had to move it, though, to get my water exchange. I filled my water into a big trash can, and I had to move it because it was just in the way. So it's actually right outside the door.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, RB. RB Animals and Collectibles said earlier, and I'm sorry I missed it. 95 miles from Charlotte. Hey, that ain't a bad trip at all.
That's
a nice little easy breeze down the road and be there and have some fishy fun. All right. Get back to the bottom. Fantastic says, funny you mentioned puffers. I may be adding puffer number 9 now as I chat and listen. What was that website by chance? So that's Aquascape Online. That's where I get my piranhas from, aquascapeonline.com. They've also got Exodons, which are out of stock right now, but they've got a lot of puffers and some other things. I've had really good experience with them. So that's generally when people say, where can I get piranhas? That's typically where I send them to because I get good fish from them and they've done really well. And I was super happy with the customer service and the shipping. Nevea saying my fish love their extreme food. Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have a local source for that, of course, I'm sure somebody's about to pop a link in here, but if you don't have a local source for extreme, you don't have a good local fish store, of course, you could find that at Aquarium Co-op, John and Lisa KG Tropicals also, if you're doing a better order from them. But let me see here. Oh, Patrick Hardy was mentioning in terms of the flake, the extreme. I got my first can from Aquarium Co-op. So far, I got items from 2 YouTubers, the Co-op and LRB. Both very, very cool guys. Deborah says there's another storm rolling in. All right, so the plus side to the 125 leaking has that it is now put a fire under my backside to get the 220 set up. That's going to be a pain to do that. I have to build a stand, reseal the 220, and rebuild the top structural bracing because it's a double brace. It's segmented into thirds on the top. But that's put a fire under me to get that done so I can get the piranha into there before they start having any aggression issues in that smaller tank. And so that's really a good thing. I've also got a bunch of plants that I need to go put in there. Probably need to order a couple more plants from the coop, good old Aquarium Co-op, because I want to get some nice specific things in that tank. I don't know that I want to tell you all exactly what's going in there. I want y'all to look forward to that. But I wanted to have a nice aquascape in a piranha tank. I know that sounds crazy, but you can do it, and we're going to show you how.
I tell you what, if you're making an order from Co-op, let me know because there's something I'd like you to order for me.
Absolutely.
It's just easier when James and I make an order. It's just easier for us to pile on everything, so we pay less shipping.
Well, and it makes it easier for them packaging wise. It also is more green, if you will. It's more economical. That way, they're using less packaging. Versus...
I just care about shipping and handling.
Right.
I'm a dirtbag.
I'm very much. I try and look at the sustainability of things, and I know that's what Corey does in his shipping processes. So that very, very much comes into play when I'm doing a purchase, because he puts so much thought into everything from the product, of course, but also the label, the packaging, how it's shipped. Where is that packaging going to go? Is it, how's it going to break down? Are we using excess? All sorts of things like that. Tony is asking, would you know if Extreme has any resellers in the UK? Thanks for your help. I don't off the top of my head. I know there were some people in Aussie, some Australians that were working on getting Extreme over there, but I honestly hadn't heard from anybody that was in the UK working on getting Extreme to that end. What I can do, Tony, is I can send out an email to Andy at Extreme and see if he has, of course he would know, being the guy that runs the show, but find out if they have any European dealers, distributors, anything like that, and get back to you on the Thursday, or if you send me a message on Facebook. When I hear back from him, I can let you know. Paul is asking if I have seen the price of lumber lately. I don't want to. I know I'm going to cry when I go to the hardware store and I have to make that purchase. I don't know. I mean, that may even be one of those things that I actually contemplate doing a metal rack versus building a stand, and I never do a metal rack versus a stand. But I don't know that I could find one big enough without a special order. I know it was rough. The last time I built a stand, it had already doubled at that point. It was $6 for a 2x4x8 versus about $3. It went from like $2.97 to $5.97. So yeah, 3 times the price. So yeah, I figured it was not going to be cheap, but it is what it is. And that's the cost of playing the game, right? That's the cost of being in the hobby. So we got to do what we got to do for our fish. And I really want that 220 gallon up. I think you all are going to enjoy it. That may actually be a game changer in terms of bringing you all the stream. I'd already been contemplating streaming from that other room anyways. But if I have, that 220 piranha tank behind me, and then I have the whole rack of tins over here, I think that you all would really enjoy getting to see a bunch of different stuff. Zen says it's $8 to $9 for a 2x4 here now. That does not surprise me. I want to cry a little bit, but I figured that was probably what it was going to be. So yeah, that's one of those that I knew I was going to have to drop some money on that project. It's probably, by the time I do all, buy the silicone, buy the lumber, redo the bracing, it's probably a $300 to $400 project, which is another reason it had kind of been put off for a little while. But it is what it is, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't gotten to build anything lately, and that's one of the parts of the hobby that I really enjoy, is getting to build different things and have those fun projects. Moving on from that, as we were just talking about the co-op, I do want to say I got 2 things in today. I also got a hoodie. I don't have the hoodie in here, but really, really wanted one of those co-op hoodies. So go check those out if you haven't. But I'm really excited to try these out. I'm going to be doing a comparison versus the API kit. Let me move this so I can actually show you all what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to compare these versus the master test kit, but I'm also going to be comparing them against another testing method, a more high tech. I don't know that I want to give that away because I don't think anybody's done that just yet. Exactly what I'm going to do. But I got the multi-test strips from the Coop. And what I thought was great was if you look on the back when you're holding your strip up. So I'm going to hit my mic doing this, but let's move this a little bit. Swing this sucker around here. So when, all right. So when you're holding your strip up, of course, you've got all the different colors that you're going to go against, but it specifically has on here, like, oh, you've got that reading, you need to change water. Oh, you've got that reading, you need to change water. Oh, your water's soft there, neutral there, it's hard there. I really, really like the fact that they have that guide on there just to make it as simple as possible. There we go. For new hobbyists who are not familiar with that, I thought that was really, really cool. Versus going, okay, I have this reading. It's 100 nitrate. I'm new to the hobby. What does that mean? Now I have to go look it up. I'm new to the hobby. I pull one of these things out. Super easy to use. And that'll be in the video, not only comparing these versus other testing methods, but also how to use them. You're brand new. You don't want to know what 100 nitrates means, maybe. You look at that. It tells you, hey, change the water. Same thing with the ammonia test strips. Thought that was very
compare
cool.
what it looks like.
And then you've got the color guide, and then it's got on there safe, caution, and change water. So safe, caution, and then change water. So very, very, very cool. Mary Beth McCubbin's asking, when did they come out with test strips? So Corey's been working on that for quite some time. Just recently able to get a hold of these things.
How many test strips are in a bottle?
The co-op multi-test strips is 200 strips. The ammonia test strips is 100 strips. And let me pull this up. I can tell you the prices on those.
API is $25. And
oh, well, perfect. I can click on the Zen Gingers link in the chat there for the aquarium co-op test strips. Thank you for that. And it'll bring me straight to it. So you're looking at $16.99 for 200 strips. And then $16.99 for the 100 ammonia.
Can you pull out a strip so we can see what they look like?
No, they haven't even been opened yet.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it.
It's fresh and sealed. No.
I don't see how many strips you get in the API one. I'm going to guess it's 25 like the ammonia.
I would assume so. But again, that's an assumption. So take that for what it's worth.
Corey had a video years ago where he was taking these strips and cutting them in half.
Mm-hmm.
And because he thought they were too expensive. So I think that's pretty neat that he's giving so many for pretty close to the same price,
Absolutely.
Like a lot more.
That's another one of the things that I absolutely love about the co-op is the fact that there's value, and that's taken into consideration. So 100%. Tony is asking, says, I have an out-of-date water master test kit, and I'm wondering how reliable the readings will be if I use it. As far as I recall, the chemical degradation, therefore the variance, is going to depend heavily upon the use by date. That being said, I don't know exactly how they put a use by date on that particular product. I know the way it works in foods for the majority is not actually this is unsafe to eat. It was actually something that will say soda brand X, because dear Lord, I don't need any type of crazy lawsuit, but soda brand X sits a bunch of people down and they say, okay, we're going to give you some different sodas that are, different dates old. And they find out when it has the best flavor, the optimal flavor, if you will. It's going to encourage you to enjoy it and purchase more versus, this is going to be bad after this date. So that's how a lot of food stuff is done. It's like, when is this product going to make you want to purchase more? When is it at its optimal taste? And then after that, we don't want you to buy it because it's not going to taste as good as we intend, so you might not buy it again. With master test kits, I'm not entirely sure where they look along the line and go, okay, this amount of degradation is unacceptable, so you should get a new kit here. Tom Patterson asked about cutting the test strips in two. I'm going to reach out and find out about that. I would theorize that you probably could.
That's why I was asking you to show us to see
all right. So
if they could do the Corey cheat on them.
Let's pop them open. But that being said, I feel like Corey would take that into account, not so much to make it where you couldn't do it, but that's why you've got 200 of them in here so that you don't have to do it. So it's just got the simplicity of I pull it out and I do it. I don't have to cut it in half. So there is, we're trying to find a good way to show you all the size of it. So it looks just standard size. It doesn't look any, it's been a long time since I used test strips, but I feel like they were that width back when I did use them.
That looks like the same width. Well, these are clear, but I mean, I've got some on the other side of the table I could get.
So I'm going to say I feel like you could. However, with 200 test strips in a bottle, I'm probably not going to go through the hassle of doing that, in all honesty. Personally, it's completely up to you. But I personally probably won't deal with cutting them in half. So I'm not going to be going through a ton of them anyways. Let me get back up here because our good old buddy Mike's Aquatics Things with the $5 super sticker with a Karate Fox. Thank you very much for that, Mike. Really appreciate you, buddy. I hope you're having a great day today. Always good to see you. Always very much appreciate, but never expect the super chats and stickers from you, my friend. All right. So, and Petroman 1185 says, I'm using the API liquid tests. They seem to be more accurate. That's one of the things that I'm going to look at. I want to compare that. And then I want to compare one other testing method that's supposed to be the creme de la creme. It's like a $1,400 water testing unit. So we're going to even compare up to that level and see what it looks like. Carol Cox says, I got the Aquarium Co-op Zip hoodie. Nice quality. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to be throwing that thing on as soon as we wrap this stream up. Head out and get some food. And I'm going to be rocking that Co-op hoodie. I'm looking forward to that. I haven't got to wear it yet.
Well, that's
all
cool.
Right. It's not a fox. Are you sure it's not a fox? Ed always says it's a fox. I think it's a fox.
I like it because it's the closest thing to a cat they've got. But I think it's a fox. I don't know.
It's a fox. I don't know.
So I got some stickers in the mail yesterday. Monster Fish Gal gave me a sticker.
Very
and
nice.
Catfish Nation.
Ooh. Very cool.
So,
very cool.
Yep.
All right. So the other thing, well, let me grab this from Aquatic Aesthetics. And also Furlough's throwing money at us because Eric's an awesome dude. But Aquatic Aesthetics, Rob says, Fisher Fever, you can half the API liquid test, specifically the ammonia nitrate test, half the drops, half the sample. Yes. And that's very good information. One of the things I'm trying not to go on a tangent here, but explain myself very clearly. One of the things I dislike about the liquid test kits
You
is
spill them.
well, I don't. I have a 2x4 that's got about 15 holes drilled in it because I had so many tanks when I was mass testing. It was easier to just have a bunch of places to put them. But I find that human error is very rarely taken into account. There are a lot of variables in terms of how you hold the bottle, how you squeeze the bottle, how many actual drops you're getting. So I find that there's a lot more room for human error, which therefore detracts from accuracy. But we're going to compare those and see. And then, like I said, we're also going to compare both of those, but specifically focusing on the co-op strips versus always knock the darn tubes over. Yeah, absolutely. Both of those versus a very expensive water testing machine that is made more for business or industrial purposes than your at-home fish keeper. Unless anybody's just wanting to, throw down $1,200 on a water test kit. I would much rather spend $16 on those and recommend that. All right, let me get back to there. But no, that's definitely good information, Rob. And for anybody that did know, you definitely can do that. Furloughs Aquatics with $5 super chat says $5 fist bumps for two awesome guys. Thank you, Eric. Very much appreciated. Thank you, buddy. Need to come hang out with you again. I'm hoping to get through this month and things will ease up a little bit. So, but I've got the 125 to seal. So we've got the 220 needs sealed, the 125 needs sealed. I've got a 65 that needs sealed that was dropped off to me, 75 that needs sealed, and a 10-gallon I'm probably not going to bother with resealing at this point because I've got about 20 empty 10-gallon tanks. So lots of resealing to do, and then a lot of just stuff.
You got to get good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you going to reseal black or clear?
I will probably do clear. I may look into black on one or two of the tanks, but I'll probably do clear. And I'll be perfectly honest. I won't technically be the one resealing those. I'll be doing the prep work, getting the silicone out, getting the surfaces ready. But it's actually my mother, because she's done so much silicone work. She does my resealing because I 100% trust her work, whereas I'm still I trust what I'm doing, but I know she's better than I am, so we might as well have a good time. We very much enjoy working on projects and construction and building things together, so might as well spend the time together doing that and having some fun. And she got her own one of these Fish Room Fever shirts. She's like, I need you to order me one of those. That way I can wear it when I'm in your videos. So she is looking forward to doing a video of resealing a tank, how to reseal a tank, some tips and tricks and pointers, what to look for, and some things not to do. But yeah, I could reseal them, but why miss out on all that fun, right?
Mary Beth asks, she missed the final product of my little temple thing I made. That's because it's not officially done. It's been cooked and doing good there. Now I need to cut the cracks into it and paint it. And the paint is what's coming a little, taking the while. Okay. Sorry. Just answering the question.
Absolutely. So Miss Aquatic Aesthetics there says, hey guys, talking about strips, I get a test tube of tank water and use the strip in it rather than dipping the strip into the actual tank. No point introducing chemicals into the tank unnecessarily. That's a good point. I hadn't actually done that before, in all honesty. I like that. I like that idea.
Who said that?
That was Mrs. Aquatic Aesthetics.
Tammy. She's awesome.
That was Miss Rob. Mrs. Rob. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But I know very good.
It's more like Mrs. Tammy and Mr. Tammy.
Right. There you go. That's typically the way it works. A happy wife, happy life, right? Oh, there's the kitty cat. Happy kitty cat, happy life. Carol Cox with a $5 super chat says, thanks for your thank you for advice. Here's a little to help with the piranha tank. Good luck. Very much appreciated. Awesome. Thank you for that, Carol. That will go towards one of the several tubes of silicone to get that sucker resealed. And we got Tony Oh, it just jumped on me, but we'll grab it. Tony Cancilia with the $3 super chat says, it's a pleasure to watch you guys. Love your advice. Tony, it's fun talking to you. I really enjoy talking to you all, talking to this community. I just have a blast. It always makes my day better. And it's nice to be able to not just try and help people, but also to just blow off steam and kind of hang out and chit chat. But thank you very much, Tony, for that $3 super chat. Not necessary, but very much appreciated, my friend. Let's see, Zen was saying I bought a tube holder stand on Amazon for that reason. Yeah, I mean, I just took a paddle bit and I drilled some holes in a 2x4 about that long, just a piece I had left over for one of my projects, and the tubes sit in there just perfectly. Deborah's asking about holding the tube against a paper towel or a paper/towel, or do you hold it up to the light, etc.? I've always held it up to the chart thing personally, but that's another one of those places where color is, this is a whole nother tangent. If you're not familiar with how color is perceived in the human eye on a scientific scale, colors are perceived very differently by each of us and the way things work, without going down that rabbit hole. So again, that's just another variable to add to the using the test kits with the liquids and all that stuff.
Well, probably, and the strips, because those have color.
The strips, some, but you can take that tube and depending upon where you look at it, you can get 4 or 5 different colors. And I've done it before, and I usually have to get a second opinion. I'm like, well, if I hold it against the card, I think it's this color. But if I hold it up just out in the open, I think it's this color. And if I hold it to the light, I think it's that color. So my range is somewhere from the bottom to the top, but versus I think that you just set it against the bottle.
Here's an interesting fact about me. Ooh. My only really good skill I have is I have perfect color vision. It worked great when I was a photographer, working in the darkroom.
Absolutely. That is a good fun fact. I did not know that. At least I don't think I did. You might have told me.
Yeah, I had when I was in high school, I had some lady that owned a flower shop try to recruit me. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. And she was like, oh, no, the straight guys do flowers too. And it's like, yeah, it's all right. I just break them. My hands are too big.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to trying those out and getting that video out. I think that's going to be fun. Gnarly Fish Tanks absolutely says, what gotta love whenever mom can help. Yeah, she taught me most of what I know in terms of construction and tools, and she can weld and bondo and all the things. So that was a wonderful experience growing up with a mother that was able to do all those things and teach those things to me. Let me roll down here. We got Sean Chadwick throwing a $10 super sticker out there with the #1 fan. Jumping exercise pair. All right. I appreciate that, Sean. Very, very nice of you. And thank you. I'm your #1 fan, Sean, because I'm fans of all you guys. I love you guys. Y'all are my fish fam. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be but hanging out with you all. And Zen with her giant cap says the instructions tell you to hold it up to the white background when testing. Yeah, I get too many color variations. I'm always second guessing myself when I'm looking at that thing. So yeah, but I digress. All right, let's get on to the other thing I wanted to mention now that we've only got 15 minutes left, and that is, many of you heard this on the previous stream, but we are going to be doing a saltwater series. Now, it's not going to take up a large portion of the channel, so fear not if you're not interested in the saltwater part. It's not going to overwhelm the content on the channel, so please don't run away and click the unsubscribe button, which reminds me, if you haven't clicked it, click the subscribe button for me. Do me a favor. YouTube loves when you hit that. Maybe if you do that, they'll show my video to more than 2 people when I put the next one out. But we've got the fish tank barn. He dropped the D. Mike is going to be a part of that. We're going to do one Saturday a month, probably the first Saturday of every month, excluding this upcoming Saturday where we've got Easter and Mike's out of town. We may be out of town at the fish event, but one Saturday a month we are going to devote to a saltwater series. It's going to be a little different than what you might find typically if you just go to the saltwater side of YouTube. There are a lot of great resources out there, and some of them are very much beginner geared. But a lot of it, I feel like if you go over there and you don't know anything about saltwater, it's very easy to get lost and confused in what they're talking about. They kind of run off the premise that I feel like sometimes we do that, oh, people already know this, so I don't need to talk about it. We are approaching it very much from a, you don't know anything? Awesome. Let's go hang out. Let's talk about the basics and the terminology and just kind of make a series so that you could come in and you could watch that series as somebody that's in here with freshwater tanks that's never touched a saltwater tank before in your life and be able to go through that series and enjoy those live streams and come in and ask questions live with us and watch that and feel comfortable in your knowledge and ability to transition from from freshwater into a saltwater setup. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. We had, where'd he go? Scott's Aquatics. What's going on, buddy? I hope you're doing well. With that $1 black cat, appreciate that. Always loved a kitty cat. I have a solid white cat, but I do not have a black cat. Now I've got one. So thank you, Scott. Very much appreciate you, my friend.
Oh, Rob, my fish store guy, said that the Chattanooga Aquarium Society is going to be doing a fish swap April 24th.
Ooh.
So I'll have to be there for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look into that.
Maybe I'll bag some guppy grass or something and pass it out.
Absolutely.
Give out some free guppy grass, some free duckweed, and some stickers.
Yeah, somebody mentioned it, but I can't find it again. But Blake, it was BJ Palmer. What's going on, BJ? Says Blake's Aquatics over in Australia is 3D printing test tube holders, tool holders for tank sides and other items. I saw that video. Some really cool stuff that Blake's doing over there. Really piqued my curiosity. On my local fish store, they've got a 3D printer. So
I would like to have a 3D printer, but not for fish stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to have one for fish and other stuff. But
I just want to make miniatures.
Yeah, I was just saying gaming stuff, I'm sure, is probably at the top of that list there. Michelle, good to see you. Says, hope everyone is doing well. Sorry I missed you guys on Thursday. I still haven't watched the replays. Hopefully I can catch up tomorrow. I'm excited about the Salt series. Glad to hear you're excited about that series, and I appreciate you being here. No apologies necessary. It's impossible to watch everything. I went through and was just kind of looking at my channel the other day on the desktop. I have over 500 aquarium channels that I'm subscribed to. There's not enough time in the day to watch all of that stuff. So I certainly understand. I don't hold it against people when I don't see their name in there every time. But I appreciate the fact that most of you all are here each and every week. And that means a lot to me. Mary Beth is saying somebody linked the short. We could get it more than 2 views. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I didn't expect it to go anywhere. I just thought it was funny that it had 3 last I saw. That's because I was one of those. I went on my phone. I was like, is this thing even public? And I went and found it. I'm like, oh, it is. They're just not showing it. And I'm like, that works. We could talk about it tonight on the live stream since nobody will really know about it.
Oh, Fantastic Freaks is also going to a fish swap in Davenport. Ooh. That would be about 3 hours closer to us because that's all the way on the other side. That's like 4 hours north of St. Louis.
Absolutely.
Still probably too far for us to drive.
Let me touch on this. First off, Fantastic Freak saying, do saltwater streams sound like a great idea? No, I'll be there. Still need to set up my 185 bow front yet. 185 bow front. That's an awesome tank for saltwater. And I'm really looking forward to doing them. But Deborah Sanders says, I'm waiting on someone to invent a gadget that tests pH, KH, calcium, etc., like a TDS meter. That reminded me, I didn't actually tell you what's on here. Part of it because I want you all to actually check out the video when I do it, right? You know, that's why we're here. But these do test for nitrate, nitrite, hardness, or GH in parts per million, your buffer or KH in parts per million, your pH, and your chlorine or your Cl2 in parts per million. So that's on the multi-test strip. Very, very cool. And then, of course, the ammonia test for ammonia. That's got to be on a separate strip for chemical processes reasons, all that fun stuff. We get down to here. All right, that was Davenport that you mentioned. So that leaves us about 10 minutes, 9 minutes by the time you all hear this. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to throw those in now. I do really, really appreciate you all being here. I'm going to save the rest of the things I was going to talk about tonight for Thursday, just because I want to have more than 5 or 6 minutes. I want to be able to take questions. So be looking out for the Thursday stream. Courtney just joined. These are the Aquarium Co-op brand strips. So you get 200 strips for about $16 on the co-op site. And then you've also got the ammonia strips. And that's 100 strips for about $16 as well. I'll be doing a video on usage and kind of how they measure up, how they compare to the API test kits, the pros and cons, accuracy, ease of use. Like people have mentioned, fumbling around. You don't have to fumble around with tubes or buying a tube holder or building a tube holder like I did. You simply get it, swirl it, read it, toss it. You're good to go. And of course, knowing co-op, there's a lot of trust that automatically goes into that product. I always feel comfortable buying a co-op product just because I know how much Corey puts into those before he even brings them public. So I know once it's come public that he's put a lot of thought and work into them. I even heard him talking about like the brine shrimp eggs, the container there. He wishes the wax was just a little bit thicker. Like he's soaked those things underwater before for long periods to see how it holds up. And he just, he's always working to improve stuff. All right, Zen is saying it is not listed. Well, yeah, I had one person come and comment on it, so I don't know why it's not showing, but I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll just delete it and re-upload it. But I did. I had one person comment on it like right after it went up, and then nothing. So I checked just to make sure, and it's weird. But who knows? It is what it is. Maybe I found a glitch in the matrix, right? Deborah Lewis says I almost ordered those strips Thursday, but my figure got too heavy on the plant order this time. LOL. It's really easy to do, especially when you know that you're going to get good stuff. That's always been one of my hesitation points for ordering online is you never know exactly what you're getting. Case in point would be this Blue Yeti mic. I ordered one on Amazon. When it came to me, I was all excited. I'm like, all right, my mic's here. I've waited a long time to order one of these mics because it's a decent bit of money. You're looking at $140. So it gets here. It's not in the Blue Yeti box. It's in a generic white box. It's just kind of thrown into a loose bag. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can do without the pretty box. I open it up, and I can almost guarantee they had sent me a used return one. It was missing, which this comes with a stand. If you don't have this piece, I bought this piece separate. But it was missing the 2 bolts to attach it to the stand. And then, I don't know if this will come over. If you look at the USB port on it, it's completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. It's bent open, and it's bent out of the opening. And it was just absolutely horrible. And then they're like, well, we can't replace it. You have to talk to the manufacturer. And eventually they did refund it. So I just went down to GameStop and bought this one that day. I was like, it's ridiculous.
Who'd you get the first one from?
Amazon.
Wow. Normally they're really good about returns.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
It was one of those things that for whatever reason in their system, it didn't just give the option. Before she could get authorization to do the return, she had to contact the company. And they tried to get it. They're like, well, do you want to reach out to the manufacturer? And I'm like, no. They're like, well, you need to find out if there's replacement parts. And I'm like, the bolts are replaceable. That doesn't fix the problem that I can't plug something in there. I'm getting something for a better sound quality, and it's got a broken port. But I'm digressing. My point of that is I know I can trust when I place an order with places like Aquarium Co-op that I'm going to get good product, packed properly, not a reused piece of junk. And it's not the first time. Zen says if it's not a Prime item, you take those risks. I always do Prime.
That's what I was wondering.
And this was Amazon's recommendation. This was their recommended when you search Blue Yeti. That's generally what I try to go with if I'm shopping on Amazon, is the Amazon recommended.
Wow.
And it was just a bad experience. And I've had quite a few of those, unfortunately. I've received open bottles of product. I'll get a bottle and the top has been popped open on it. The safety seal. And one time I'm pretty sure it had just been replaced with water. But I don't have to worry about those things with the coop. So that's why I love and trust ordering them from them. Harry Habercorn, good to see you, says, I came in late again. Did you happen to go over if you were selling live fish at plants yet? Not yet. I want to talk to Ed because I want to have him hang out with me while we do it. But I want to do a members only live stream and kind of talk to you all about that and some other things. But
yep. And
no, I am not shipping anything out as of now.
I have a lot of people asking me about guppy grass. Best way to contact me is through Facebook, or maybe we can give it to James for a membership thing or something. I don't know. But if there's been so many people that I've said, sure, I'll send it, and then I'll never remember without a real remembering, or with somebody really contacting me.
Absolutely. Where was it? Zinger says, seriously, the new short is not listed. You sure it's public? Yes. I'll grab a link for it right here at the end. I'll throw it in so you all can check it out if you want. It's nothing fancy. It was just like, hey, this is what I woke up to, and then I showed the leaking and the piranhas and all that. It was just a little short.
How did you move those piranhas around?
So I grabbed this because I had questions about this. And ironically, a video of this got this like 2,000 plus views on TikTok, whereas that short that I posted about the piranha also on TikTok has like 500. That is my piranha catcher. So I took a little $5 selfie stick that I think I probably paid like $2 for. I use that actually for my underwater footage. I'll throw my phone on there and stick it in because it's less invasive than putting your whole arm in the tank. So selfie stick, 4 zip ties, and a $1 organizer. And there's your piranha net. Because
I saw this on TikTok, but I had no idea what you were talking about on TikTok.
Yeah, that's it. That's how I caught them. Worked really well. Really easy way to do it. Really cheap. Just stuff I had on hand.
Now, are they a panicky fish, or do they just kind of go into the basket easy?
They are a panicky fish. They are a 2-net method. So what I did was I used one of the long pieces of PVC that I have for siphoning and draining. And I used the 2-net method. So I'd have that basket and then I would spook them towards that and then catch them in there. And then I had like a hand towel that I was throwing over it so that they couldn't just flop straight out. I did have one that managed to get into the floor. Like I went to put it in the new tank and it flopped just right. So it hit the tank lid and then went behind the tank into the windowsill and then out of the windowsill into the floor. And so I'm trying to catch this piranha in about this much space underneath that tank. But everybody's okay. He survived it.
Will they just like eat right through a net?
They will. So when I move them to the 220, I'm going to film catching them because a lot of people have wanted to see that. But like even in this basket, the very first thing they do when you've still got this in the water is they're swimming down, biting it. They're just gnawing on this thing, trying to get through it.
Wow.
So if you try to net them, they very quickly chew their way out of a net.
It's too bad you didn't videotape that.
Yeah, well, I was going to, but by the time I pulled the 3-foot piece of driftwood and all the rock and plants and all that, the water was so cloudy in there that it just wasn't going to be a good quality shot of it. But I will get those shots when I move them the next go around. They want to say Hillbilly Aquatics dropped that $1 super sticker with that big brown pile of fertilizer. I didn't miss it. I saw you there, Hillbilly, and I greatly appreciate you, buddy.
Our brother from the north. Exactly,
our brother from the north. The not complimentary. What's the word I'm looking for here? No, he's a member of the Tennessee Fish Mafia, but he's a I've forgotten the word. Honorary. That's what I'm looking for. Honorary member.
I thought you were trying to look for Kentucky.
Oh, no.
Oh, well.
All right. Make sure I don't have any last minute questions. If we've got Jeffro's fish keeping going next, which I know he had been, somebody do me a favor. If you would, please, mods, I greatly appreciate your help. Grab me a link for that. I'm going to grab the link real quick for that short, just if you want to see it and you can see the leaking, you can see that cat litter pan that I was talking about, just if you're interested.
Pam will be going also an hour earlier tonight.
Okay.
Because Priscilla's not going. And
Gotcha.
I'll be on there painting with Pam. That's what she should
That'll
name it, painting with Pam.
Absolutely.
I do it every Saturday now. It's a blast, James. Except I'm going to have to make a run for the border. Oh, Jeff Rose isn't scheduled right now either.
All right. So what I'm going to do.
Sorry, I don't know if he was scheduled last week either. I think he just turned it on.
Okay. So I set this to private and then back to public. Let's see if that pulls it out of the little glitch. I mean, it people reviewing it, it just wasn't really getting seen. But I'm still going to grab the link for anybody that did want to check it out. Like I said, it's nothing fancy. It's a 45-second clip, but it does show you that litter pan I was referencing. And you can kind of see how much water was gone when I came into that situation. Link is copied to clipboard, so let's paste it here. That is the short right there that I just posted a link to. All right, pulled it out perfect. Notice for your short just came through. All right, so now I know. Next time, just make it private and redo it. If you want to go check that out, it's about 45 seconds. Do me a favor, go check that out. Hit the thumbs up on it so YouTube will say, hey, people like what this guy's doing. That really does help. We're kind of at a flat point, and I got to fix that, and most of that's on me, but some of it's on making sure that YouTube shows the people some things. Other than that, turn it over to Ed. I've really had a great time talking to you all tonight, and just kind of not really winging it, but not being tied down to one specific thing. But Ed?
Well, I just noticed that we have another Tennessean here, and it's Blue Ice Aquatics. Very cool.
All right.
Keep watching us, and we'll let you know when we do Tennessee things. Because we like to do things together in this state once we get to have more freedoms again.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It was a lot of fun. I know a lot of people said things to me, but I didn't want to interrupt James while he was talking, but I did read them, and I do appreciate it. And I'll also rewatch the show and see things that I did miss. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Of course, my buddy Chattanooga Ed, thank you for being here, my friend. Throw all that stuff in the trash there. All the mods, I appreciate everything you do. The members, the lurkers, the listeners, the super chatters and commentators and questioners. Of course, the replay crew. Love you guys. Do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't. Really appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight. It's been a blast. We will see you all Thursday for Aquaholics Anonymous, and then followed up on Chattanooga Ed's channel with the Nocturnal Feeding Show. Until next time, go check out that short real quick for me. Keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. And catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.